Hi folks, thanks for joining us today on the webinar. What we're going to do is talk about the 9 things that you should know before you buy into any franchise and the pitfalls to avoid. It's been said by many economists and statisticians in the last year or so, certainly in the last kind of 6 to 12 months, that we're actually in the entrepreneurial revolution. And there are many people setting up, many more people, setting up in business than there have ever been before. And it's actually true of franchises too. The franchise industry hasn't escaped this growth curve. So people are being attracted to the freedom and finance that obviously owning your own business can bring. And what's interesting here to note too is that franchises have a significantly lower dropout rate. So that's to say that more startup businesses fail in their first, second and third years than those who are brought into a franchise model. And there's certainly a lot more certainty in having the solid systems, the proven markets, and being able to follow the stepping stones to success of those before you that obviously having a franchise business would bring, as opposed to those who've started up on their own. However, it's not that straightforward because recent stats show that there are 900 franchises in the UK, so it really is a choice and a bit of a minefield to say the least as to which one might be right for you, if indeed any. And that's what we're going to demystify for you tonight. We've put together a presentation on the 9 things you should know before you buy into any single franchise and all of the pitfalls to avoid. So, Trevor, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening everyone, and thanks for spending your time with us this evening. My name's Trevor Nichols. I'm the founder of the Leaflet Delivery Company, which is a franchise that has been up and running in a franchise format now for 2.5 years, obviously trading for longer. Prior to myself starting as being a franchisor, I was actually a franchisee. I was a franchisee for a company called The Best Of. I actually ended up buying 2 franchise areas in that and running them very successfully before moving forward. I'm letting you know a bit about this, just to let you know that I've been on both sides. I've been where you are now. I've done my research when I was looking at the franchisees. I did all the due diligence, the research, etc. So we've got some experience on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kat Jackson of the Franchise Revolution. My background is similar in the sense that I've been on the franchisor side and worked for the fastest growing franchise in the UK, which happens to be The Best Of, and there you can see the crossover between Trevor and I. And I've also, during that time, managed the network of over 250 franchisees nationwide, brought them through with support, mentoring and development, and have helped many people start their new franchise business and reach profit the quickest route possible. You'll notice it's the quickest route possible, not just getting to profit any old way. And some even reaching 6-figure incomes in their first kind of 10 to 12 months, which obviously is significant for them. My role now is actually in my own business called the Franchise Revolution, and it seeks to help franchisors, just like Trevor and the other 900 odd in the UK, to bring on the right franchisees for their business, because it is absolutely critical that this relationship works both ways. So it has to be the right business for the prospective new franchisee to buy into, and it also has to be the right person for the franchisor to bring into their business. So that's what we do, and a little bit about who we are. So getting straight down to business here, we're starting with number 1, and that is to have high demand. So the things that you should be looking at when you're considering any franchise is there a high demand for it in the market? So whether you've got a product or a service, who does it help? How easy are they to reach? And what problem does it solve? Usually, regardless of what you're doing in business, you're going to be solving a problem for someone. So who is your someone? And what is their problem? And how do you fix it by what it is that you do? So the next part of that stepping stone is then how easy are they to reach? Some are going to be easier than others. And that's something to bear in mind, certainly. So, Trevor, how does you've introduced the company, your franchise, the Leaflet Delivery Company. So, who is it that you help as a business?
Well, just to run through those points, yeah, who do we help? Well, our target market are business to consumer businesses. So what we mean by business to consumer is businesses that are selling to the end user, such as yeah, your tradespeople that are going into people's houses and repairing things or installing home improvements, to your takeaways, your taxi drivers, to hairdressers, and so on. People that are actually supplying a goods or services to the residential sector. And that's who we're helping. We're helping them reach more customers. And yeah, we can evidence that it is a very high demand service. When you're listening to this, just perhaps think about the leaflets that you've had through your letterboxes in the last sort of a week or two, and you'll see that there's certainly a market, a high demand for the service.
Absolutely right. Great. The next point is to check in that competition. So when you're looking at that business, shop your competition. How will you stand out against them? What tools will you get from the franchisor to help you to do that? How will you be positioned in the market? And obviously what we're looking for here is that you are exclusively positioned in the market, or that you've got a great unique selling point, which is the USP. So what are your USPs? What are those unique selling points that you can deliver that your competitors can't or don't? And that doesn't always have to be price, by the way, guys. It can be service related. It could be that your product does something that no one else can or does. It doesn't always have to come down to the price war, and probably, in truth, shouldn't come down to the price war. And then go back and review, are those USPs, are those unique selling points strong enough? Would you buy this product or service from someone else? Because essentially when you're buying into that business, you're going to be selling to whoever your market is. So would you buy it? So looking at the leaflet delivery company as a model here, as a kind of hold up, really. When you look at the competition, how is it, Trevor, that your franchisees would stand out against the competition in their area?
Yeah, there's a number of ways, and it is very important to think about the competition and what we do different. We have a very, very strong view for the company. We will be the #1 leaflet delivery company in every town in the UK, and we're achieving that by making sure that we have the best people in the franchise, running the franchise area, making sure that they're trained very well, that they're up to speed on not just leaflet marketing but general other marketing techniques that they can advise their clients. We make sure that we've got the best systems in place. Our clients benefit from the fact that every one of our deliveries is tracked by GPS. Not just that, but the clients can actually log into our computer system and see the progress of their deliveries as they happen. Coupled that with our process that helps the franchisee, it makes it a very, very smooth and easy transaction for the clients. The clients want to be able to know that their whole process of design, print and delivery is being handled without them being interrupted every 10 minutes or without them having to make the decisions. We're able to advise them on the best way to get the most out of their leaflet delivery campaigns.
So it's almost more consultancy-led, isn't it, as opposed to just sales and then leaflet delivery,
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we tell all of our clients and all of our franchisees is we're not there just to open letterboxes. We're there to help them get the best return, and we do that by a mixture of making the planning and the execution.
Right. Okay. And Trevor, you mentioned GPS tracking. How does that work?
Okay, so effectively each of our leaflet delivery people, the people who are actually going out doing the delivery, they carry a GPS tracking device that records their position every second, and that gives us a very, very accurate trail of exactly where they've been. Literally, we can see them walking up to doorsteps, and we can put a date and time stamp on every single house that they've delivered to.
Great. So I know that there's certainly some bad press really around some leaflet delivery companies or distributors. where they don't always get delivered into the right places, skips or whatever may have come into
Absolutely. I mean, this is effectively the reason why I set the business up. When I was a franchisee, I needed the service for myself, and there wasn't a decent leaflet delivery company in the Milton Keynes area, which is where I was situated. When I was speaking to other franchisees in the network that I was in, they all had the same problem. To find a reliable, transparent leaflet delivery company was quite difficult. So we saw a gap in the market there to create one that does what it says that they're going to do and actually deliver the items.
Yeah, which is absolutely critical if they want any kind of return, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So the action points here, folks, we've got some action points for you to take in order to make sure that you're not falling into any of those pitfalls, and that is to ask to see testimonials from existing customers of the business. So the franchisor and certainly franchisees should have both written and video, if they're worth their salt, testimonials from the existing customers, because you want to know what it is that made that customer buy in, why they love the service or indeed the product, and what the benefits that they've had of using that business. So ask franchisees how they stand out in the market and position themselves differently, because you're going to be doing just the same thing if you were to buy into that franchise. So you need to know how they're doing it and what's working for them. And of course, it always comes back to do your research. So make sure that you ask enough questions and so that you have a very good idea of what you're buying into and obviously what the processes are that are involved in that. So number 2, it must be profitable. Sorry. Just move that.
Just whilst you're sorting that out, Kat, can I just remind everyone on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a chat box. If you have any questions as we progress through these 9 points, feel free to ask them in the chat box, and then what we can do is we'll spend sort of 5 to 10 minutes at the end just trying to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. So here goes. Number 2, it must be profitable. This sounds so obvious, but it is a pitfall and you should not be fooled. Just because that franchisor is in business and selling franchises does not mean they're selling a profitable model. So again, do your research. Take a really in-depth look at the model and find out exactly, what is going to be expected. Ask the franchisor for predictions and forecasts of income which are realistic and that are being met by current franchisees in their network. So we don't want the kind of overinflated optimistic figures now. We want to know what's actually happening on the ground. And just when we're having a look at that model, if you're selling I don't know whether it's a estate agency and you're selling houses, or whether you're delivering kind of football coaching for kids, or whether indeed you are working with businesses to help them with their marketing and leaflet distribution. Make sure that the model fits so that it's not impossible to get to the level that they're saying. So if we're saying we've got to have, I don't know, 10 businesses on every round of delivery for leaflet distribution. Now, is that feasible? Could it be done? We need to know that from the outset. And also have a look, does the profitability match what you want to earn from the business? So I say profitability because profit is different than turnover, and if you're not sure about that, talk to a very good accountant and they will talk you through everything that you need to know. But certainly when your franchisor is talking turnover, be aware that there are going to be costs of running your business. So number 1, and the most obvious one, is of course your license fee. So some franchisors will run with a percentage license fee, so they'll take a percentage of your total turnover for each month, and they might even have a minimum figure that they take regardless, and some of them are fixed fee. Well, the fixed fee model, it would, certainly in the long term, it may help you, because you've got a fixed fee, so you know every month what's going to come out, you know what cost has got to be covered, and your franchisor is not penalising you for when you are on the road to success and you are earning significantly more money. Trevor, have you got any kind of advice or expertise really that you want to mention here?
Yeah, I mean, much that you said, I'd be really strengthen this point. Do the research on the numbers. Ask to see some figures. Ask to see the model. And when you see the model, don't just take their word for it. Ask the franchisor, is this a model or is this based on actual facts? What we do is we give our trading figures for the first 2 years of trading as a model, which are all verifiable through our accounts, etc. And with regards to the fixed fee and the commission basis on the license fee, there's no right or wrong answer here. I mean, we've chosen in the Leaflet Delivery Company to operate on a flat fee, so that our franchisees know exactly how much they're paying each month, and they can budget accordingly. And also, if they've doubled their business in year 2, year 3, they're being rewarded for this, and that's a feel-good factor for them. So they're moving forward knowing that their efforts are being directly rewarded, and they're still paying the same monthly license fee towards us.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So number 3, we're moving swiftly on, is getting and keeping customers. And I would argue this should have been number 1, but the reason being, it is the lifeblood of any business and something I'm incredibly passionate about. From a background in marketing, we know that the most important thing you can do in any business is to get and keep more customers. It's the most important thing you do in your working day, and obviously where the majority of your time should be spent. So if you know that you want to grow your business, or even when you're starting out and you need to build your business, then this is the area that you should be spending most time on. So I would suggest that you need to have the greatest degree of clarity about how you are going to get customers from day one in your new business, because it's not good enough to go into a franchise and invest your hard-earned cash and not have a clear strategy of how you are going to get customers from day one. Not 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line when you're better known in your area or you've got referrals or recommendations. It's got to be from day one. And your franchisor should be able to help you with that. It's certainly part of the induction program with the Leaflet Delivery Company, and should be if any franchisor, again, it knows their stuff. So the questions to ask here are, what tools does the franchisor provide to help you do that? So we're talking marketing tools. And how effective are they? Ask the questions. What's most effective right now for the franchisees that are currently doing this? Some franchisors will offer you a starter package to help you get up and running with the business. Again, do your due diligence, find out what's actually in it, because some franchisors will offer you the marketing collateral. Now that might be the posters, the leaflets, the business cards, compliment slips, letterheads. It might be the collateral you will use, but the onus is still on you to go out and generate that business from day one, finding your customers. Or other franchisors might have a done-for-you service where they will, for a set fee, find your first 10 or 20 customers. But again, find out what methods they're using to do that, and what kind of access you have to those methods, because they have tried and tested this. And there is certainly a lot to be said for using tried and tested strategies as opposed to the trial and error approach, which can be painful and financially costly. So certainly ask the questions there. Trevor, we talked about the fact that certainly the strategy for marketing is included in the induction program, but I know your franchisees have much, much more support than that on marketing, don't they?
Absolutely. The reason we provide that support is because I can't emphasize enough what you've said. This is the #1 focus that any business owner should have, because at the end of the day, if you haven't got customers or you're losing customers, then you haven't got a business. So what we do, the launch is critically important for a franchisee. And when you launch a franchise, you want to be getting customers very, very quickly. We've seen some franchisees within the Leaflet Delivery Company go out and write over £2,000 to £3,000 worth of business in their first week because they're applying the strategies that we teach them how to do. Yeah, so what we do is we have a day-by-day plan for the 6-week launch period of the franchise. So literally, you pick up your marketing plan book that's provided for you, and it tells you what activities you should be taking on that day. And then what we've done is we've
actually, just to interrupt you there, Trevor, that's a really key point, because that's very, very different from most franchisors, I should say, because actually, even if they provide some kind of roadmap, it's nowhere near as in-depth or in detail as what you've just described. So you really are being kind of supported literally day by day with that model and with those strategies from the very first day, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, we put that in place because we recognise that there's franchisees coming into our network that perhaps haven't got the experience of running their own business or even of marketing, and it's when you come from a employee background and you know what tasks that you're expected to do that day, then you go and do it. But for a lot of employees, they're used to being told what to do. So whilst we're not going to dictate to people, we are giving them a very, very strong guideline of what is going to help them succeed within the franchise. And what we then do is we have a marketing consultant that we assign to the franchisee for their launch period that works with them this is on top of the support they get from the head office. They get sort of weekly phone calls with the marketing consultants to find out what's working well for them, what isn't, what tweaks or what different approaches that they need to take that perhaps might be relevant or specific to their particular territory.
Fantastic. Well, that's definitely over and above the line that most franchisors would take on that. So it's really great to hear that your franchisees are so well supported from the offset, really, because it's crucially important that you, as a new franchisee, as you've already said, that you launch, you get customers in quickly, and you move to the point of profit. Certainly break even first, and then into profit, just the quickest route that you can. So the action here is: be aware that this is the biggest, or one of the biggest pitfalls that most new franchisees make, and that is being world class at getting ready. And if you need that explaining any further, there is a stuck to the desk syndrome that lots of new franchisees seem to have. And it's just something to be aware of, because I've spent many an hour speaking with new franchisees, encouraging them to get out and go to local networking meetings and go and speak to local business owners and local people of influence in their area, to get their names, get their brand out there, and to let people know that they're starting a business and ready to take on clients or customers. Don't do the world class at getting ready, stuck to your desk syndrome, which is, I've got to wait for my business cards to get printed, because that's a fatal error. You don't have to have business cards or a shiny website or fancy compliment slips or anything like that. The only thing that you need is to go out and get customers. So again, be conscious of that when you buy in to the franchise, that is a considerable pitfall that people make, because most new franchisees don't get the start necessarily that they would have wanted, because of the world class at getting ready syndrome. So the next thing is obviously to ask your franchisor what the most successful marketing strategies that are pretty profitable are right now. What is the franchisor? Certainly your franchisor should know the most profitable strategies of what's being used in the network. But even more so than that, if your franchisor runs an area themselves as a territory, then they're one of the best people to ask actually what has worked in the past and what's working right now, and what would you avoid, because sometimes knowing what to avoid is as important as knowing what's working. And Trevor, you're in quite a unique position there, aren't you, because you're one of the very few franchisors in the whole of the UK that actually run your own territory.
Yeah, that's right. We run the Milton Keynes territory here. This is where we started. We've been running it now for over 5 years, and we continue to do so, and it continues to grow each year. I've no intention of giving that territory up, and the main reason being is because I want my finger on the pulse. I want to know exactly what is going on, because if we know what's going on here, it means that similar things are going to be happening across the network, and we're able to give the best advice based on exactly as you say, what's working and what isn't working, and what's worth spending money and time on, and what isn't.
Great, thank you for that. The next point here is obviously to ask current franchisees how easy it was to get customers in their early days and what worked for them. What did they do that brought the people through the door? Because again, you're going to be replicating that, and you want to know from experience, not from trial and error, what's working. And again, I would stress that you need to set aside 80%, at least 80% really, of your time to get and keep customers specifically in your early days, whether that's the first 3 or 6 months. But when you get your diary, whether it's an online calendar or whether it's a paper diary, have a coloured highlighter if needs be to mark out 80% of your time to getting and keeping customers. And whatever happens, preserve it and fight hard for this time, because it is your only strategy for success in any franchise. Is that about right, Trevor?
Absolutely, and that's one of the advantages that you have of buying into a franchise. A lot of the strategy, a lot of the setup, a lot of the admin, etc., is taken care of by the franchisor. We have a franchise up in Coventry and Rugby, and they were asked recently why they bought it, and this was exactly the reason why. It meant that they didn't have to worry about the websites, they didn't have to worry about all the contracts, they didn't have to worry about all the systems and everything else. That was all done for them, so they could just go out and concentrate on exactly what is going to make them the most money, which is getting in front of customers, seeing them, and getting more orders in place.
Fantastic. And I know that talking of Paul and Tracy, who are in Coventry and Rugby, as you've just mentioned, they've actually had a stunning first year, haven't they, in the business?
Oh, absolutely. They've just entered their second year. Paul, when they first started, Tracy ran the business full time, and Paul was working full time in his main job, and they had a goal that Paul was going to give up his job and come and work within the business, and they managed to achieve that within about 7 months, which was absolutely fantastic. So within 7 months, they had a business that not only is covering its own costs, but it's providing an income for both of them.
Which is phenomenal. I actually got the pleasure of speaking with them both just a week or so ago, and they just celebrated their first year in the franchise, and with obviously both of them employed and hitting over the £100,000 mark, which is just phenomenal. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely.
Number 4 is training and support. So it's a biggie, this one, folks. It's the one thing that everyone asks the questions about with any franchisor. Everyone wants to know that they're going to be supported, and there's going to be someone on hand should they need anything after buying into their franchise. The biggest fear for most people, so research shows, is actually that they buy in and they're left to their own devices. So look closely at the induction training, find out exactly what it covers and what materials are made post-induction. And the reason you need to know what's available after the induction that recaps is because regardless of how many days you attend, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 day inductions or longer, you are never going to remember everything. So you need to find out exactly what materials you can grab hold of that are available after your induction to cover anything that you've missed. And then how can you access this material? We want to know whether you can access it online and therefore it's available 24/7 for you, which is fantastic. Is it written manuals? Are the videos available? Is there a help desk? Can you speak to someone at HQ should you need to? And again, what hours are they available for you to speak to? because there are going to be times when you need someone on the other end of the phone quite rapidly, and you need to know that that's going to happen with the franchise that you buy into. The next set of questions is obviously related to the ongoing training that's made available. So how regularly is it available for you? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? What kind of support do you get in the meantime? I know Trevor's already covered the marketing consultant that's assigned to each one of the new franchisees in the Leaflet Delivery Company. What does it take from you is another question, because if your franchise head office is down in Plymouth and you're buying your franchise territory in Aberdeen, then you need to know if you've got to attend monthly, or if it's on offer for you to attend monthly. Can you do that? Is it going to be feasible for you to fly down for 12 times during the year in order to attend this training? And how does your franchisor ensure that you're going to be on the right track and supported to reach your big goals? We've talked a lot so far about actually making it into profit, but bigger than that, you're never going to buy a franchise just to be in profit. You're going to buy a franchise for all of the reasons that you do, like the flexibility it might provide, the freedom, the time that you might be able to spend with your family, the finance that it might bring for you, all of those things and more. Those are your bigger goals, and you need to, I would suggest that you have those written down as to what it is you're aiming for. Obviously, Paul and Tracy were aiming to have a business that enabled them both to give up full-time employment, to spend more time with their family, and to be financially secure and actually build a business that was a valuable asset. So what is it that you're buying in for, and how is your franchisor going to ensure that you're on track and supported to reach that? Have you got anything else to add there, Trevor?
Yeah, again, just emphasising the importance of goal setting. If you don't have a goal, if you don't know where you want to get to, you don't know how you're going to get there. And it's not even worth trying to get there if you don't know where you're going. So before you decide on any franchise, make sure that you know what you want to achieve with it. And it might not just be money. It might be about flexibility. It might be about more time with the family. It might be about leaving a legacy, or it might be, it may be about money and making sure that you're finally secure. But make sure that you really examine yourself, and not just yourself, but your loved ones as well, your family, who are going to be, whether they're working with the franchise with you or not, your decisions are going to affect their lifestyle as well. So you really want to talk this through with your whole family and everyone that's involved.
Absolutely, thank you for that. So the action points here now are, certainly we're highlighting a pitfall, which is to protect your business and your sanity, because there are so many franchisees or new franchisees that I've spoken to on a regular basis, and they've been pulling their hair out because they can't get something to work, or they can't find a specific piece of information, or they're struggling with one of the systems, whatever it might be. If my rule usually is, if you can't sort it out in 20 minutes to half an hour, then go and ask head office for help, because there is no prizes for the slog that you might spend kind of 2 hours or 3 hours trying to get something to work and pulling your hair out and getting frustrated. Your business cannot survive if you're spending that amount of time to make something work, when you've got a whole support team and a whole suite of help that's available to you. That time, should be spent on other things, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. Yeah, you always got to think, when you're in a franchise network, and if you're in an established franchise network, any problem that you face is likely to have been faced before by another franchisee, or indeed the franchisor, and a quick phone call or an email, etc., can save sort of hours of work if you're just trying to figure things out for yourself. So you're joining a franchisee. One of the reasons to join a franchise is for the support that you get. So make sure you use it. Don't feel that you're being a burden on the franchisor. Make sure you do actually use their service.
Absolutely right. The next point here is just to speak with franchisees about their experience of HQ, and really the things you're looking for here is, what was the startup support like when they began their business? What's the ongoing support like, the coaching and the training? have HQ, how would that franchisee rate HQ in terms of ideas and innovation on new products, new services, new streams of income? If they've been in the franchise for any length of time, certainly more than kind of 6 to 9 months, they should be able to talk to you a little bit about this area, because there's nothing that's static. So you want to make sure you're doing a franchise where the franchisor is certainly forward thinking and able to bring new things into the business to help you. And are they responsive? When the franchisee has needed help and support, as we've talked about, has HQ been there? Have they been able to be responsive and fix the problem for them in a timely fashion? Those are the things that we will be looking for. So moving on then, we're going to talk about the maths. I know that some people shudder when we talk about the maths, but it's a critical part, unfortunately. So the first thing is, does it add up? If you've got to fork out for stock or premises or staff, does it add up? Can you grow without help? That's going to be an interesting question, because when you take on the franchise business, it might be that you're doing it, as we've said, single-handedly until you can afford to either employ staff, or you can outsource, or you can bring on a partner, or whatever it may be. But can you grow without help? Just note at what stage it is that you think you might need help. And again, it might be smart to speak with some of the franchisees who have been in the network for a length of time and ask, when did they need help? What kind of help did they need? And how much did it cost? Or how much would it cost now? And there's a couple of top tips that we've got for you here. And that is, no one, it's not expected that you may be able to bring on a whole team or army of people to support you from day one, but there are platforms out there like Fiverr, for instance, which is fiverr.com, and it's you can have almost anything created or done for you, which is $5, and that's the price tag. There's Elance, where you can get, again, anything, kind of a whole host of different services, not just copywriting now, but actually quite a vast range of services that people all over the world will bid for, and then you can go through and choose the appropriate one. VAs, and that's virtual assistants. So again, anyone who's, I know you may be familiar with a PA term as a personal assistant, but virtual assistants are able to do all sorts of stuff for you, and they work from their own office. They're self-employed essentially, so you wouldn't need to worry about any kind of employment legislation there. You can, all these services you can turn on and off as and when required. So it might be that if you have an influx, you can have a VA come in and help you out with that. It might be that they can help do some admin work for you, which certainly would be an advantage, given that if you're spending 80% of your time getting and keeping customers, you might well need someone to do the admin work or the bookkeeping or other work which is not as critical and shouldn't be kind of sucking your time away. And call answering, if it's important and you take regular calls from customers or prospective clients, then they're going to want to speak to someone who is able to answer the phone professionally and take a message, and they don't always want to call you on mobile and leave a message, especially if you're in a service-based industry dealing with businesses. So have a look at some of those things in order to help you to leverage both your time and your investment. Trevor, you've used a lot of these services.
Yeah, we've used all of those services. We continue to use call answering service, bookkeepers. Fiverr is absolutely brilliant. You can get things done very quickly, very cost effectively. So yeah, you can't grow a sizable business working on your own and doing everything yourself. You have to realise that there's things that it's better to outsource to other people so that you can concentrate on what you're good at.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so, looking at the leaflet delivery company, could you grow if you were just on your own? Could you grow without help?
Well, you would grow to a certain level, but you would then have some obstacles, because there are we don't hide the fact that we are a busy franchise. You know, there's lots to do. There's rounds to organise. There's distributors to manage. There's recruiting distributors. There's going out and getting the customers. There's your bookkeeping. You know, all these sorts of things that have to be done. But it doesn't have to cost a fortune. You know, one strategy is the apprentice scheme. You know, we have an apprentice that helps us run our sort of logistics side of things. You know, boxing up all the leaflets, getting the rounds organised, and then handing them into the distribution team. Yeah, very, very cost effective. And
provides a great experience for that young person who's looking for you know, a career, and certainly looking to get some experience under their belt in an office environment or you know, logistics environment.
Yeah, no, that's right. You know, it's a two-way street with the apprentice scheme, but you know, the whole message is you can get to a certain level, but if you want to be a large leaflet delivery company and you want to sort of have a very good income from it, your time is not best spent counting out leaflets in the warehouse, waiting for distributors to come in. You know, and your time's not well spent going out and delivering the leaflets yourself. You know, we don't expect our franchisees to be out delivering leaflets. You know, they're managing the people that do. So yeah, when you can, you start bringing in the extra help.
Great, okay, thank you for that. So the action points here, folks, just to run through them. The pitfall here to just be conscious of and avoid is to make sure your bills are covered, because when it comes to the maths and looking at investment, what you don't want to do is you know, put everything into this business and spend nights and many sleepless nights awake worrying about how you're going to pay a mortgage or a gas or electricity bill. So what we usually suggest is to make sure that your bills are covered for the first kind of 3 to 6 months of buying into that franchise. Speak with a good accountant to help you. If you need any referrals or recommendations, again, I'm sure Trevor and I will be able to help you out with that. Ensure that you factor in expenses and overheads into your forecast. So when you're doing your own forecast of finances, don't forget that you're going to have some expenses and overheads, and it will just depend on what those are, and make sure that, again, you're aware of those. Ask your franchisor how much the total investment is for the franchise, because lots of franchisors will just talk to you about the franchise fee, which is the upfront investment. What's the total investment for the franchise you're looking at? How much will you need in operating capital? And that number is going to vary vastly depending on whether you're letting or buying premises, or whether you have to fork out money for stock, or whether you need systems or staff or a whole range of other things. But put a number on it. Your franchisor should be able to help you do that. And at what point could you be expected to break even? You know, are we talking, is it month 3 or month 6, month 9? Is it into year 2? When are you going to break even? Because you'll need to know that. What are the ranges in financial performance of the existing franchisees? And this is a really key point here. So find out not just what the top achievers are doing, but also find out what the people who aren't doing so well, where are they at in the network, and find out why. Is it because they're just starting out, or is it because they're only part-time in this business, or is it because they've got other concerns, other businesses and other things to do? So just find out the whole range of financial performance, and don't stop that research until you are confident that you know both the high and the low end. And again, another pitfall here to avoid is cash flow. So there's a lot of businesses that struggle with cash flow, and it can be one of the key reasons why they are unable to continue trading. So the only antidote to this is to know your numbers. Number 6, residual income is a beautiful thing, and I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking to you about actually what residual income is, because it's a phrase that's bandied about in the franchise industry and isn't always explained. So what is residual income? Well, it's essentially income that resides with you. It stays with you month after month. So there's no such thing in life as passive income, or there's very few things that ever would bring you passive income. So residual income is perhaps where you've got a 12-month contract in place, so that you're or longer, or it could be shorter, but essentially you've got something in place which means that every month that person pays. So they might pay on the first of the month before you even wake up and get out of bed for the service or the product that you're delivering. Why would you want residual income? Well, it can significantly help when you're building a business, certainly as a valuable asset, that you have residual income, so that you can grow, and it will certainly help your growth rate, because each month you'll be adding on rather than starting from scratch. If you've got to sell a product and you've got to find new people to sell it to every single month, you'll be starting from scratch on the first of the month. Hence, if you've got a service-based business, or you've got a product which can have a residual income tied to it, and they do exist, then again that's considerably helpful. So a question for your franchisor is, could you generate a residual income, and are there multiple streams of income that are available to you in the franchise? So looking at the Leaflet Delivery Company again as a model of this, both are available, right, Trevor?
Absolutely. So the first one, the residual income, we have a number of clients that are either on monthly contracts, where we have set amounts per month, where we do the print and the delivery for them. We also have a lot of sort of magazine contracts, and a number of our franchisees have secured magazine contracts in their area, and they're absolutely brilliant to have a magazine contract, because every single month, the first of the month, exactly as you said, Kat, is you're invoicing X amount of money, and you can get to the stage where on the first of every month you've invoiced enough to cover all your overheads within the business, and that's a really good position to be in, because it takes a lot of pressure off you and clears your mind so that you can concentrate on the important things. And the multiple streams of income, we can certainly do. There's currently 3 different streams of income within the business. That's design. We make money on the design of leaflets and design of stationery. Print. We have a very, very active print business, and it's not just leaflets that our franchisees arrange the print for. We do all manner of stationery and printed items, and then the delivery itself. And what we're also seeing is, because we're in the marketing industry and our franchisees tend to sort of learn a lot about marketing, we start then giving advice based on a number of different sort of marketing activities, and it's not unheard of to charge for that advice and take on some ancillary work that can support your clients.
Great. There's certainly a lot to think about there. So essentially, residual income aids your growth and ensures that you can build your business as a valuable asset month by month, so you're not starting from scratch at the beginning of each month. Number 7, we're talking about a skills match. Back to you as the prospective, franchisee. Essentially, we want to know what your strengths are. So, what's your current skill set? What have you done before? Where do your skills lie? It might be in planning or organisation. It might be that you're an extrovert and you like going and speaking with people and talking. It might be that you want to go and make sales, and that's what gives you your kicks. It could be any manner of things. And drill down what it is that you've done in previous roles that you can bring with you to a franchise business. Have a good idea about what you will do in your business. So what would your role be? And have a look at that and see where perhaps you could outsource some things. For instance, if you don't do you don't need to do your bookkeeping or accounting. It's certainly not my favourite job in my business to do, and I have someone that does that for me, and a very good accountant that makes sure that we're doing all the right stuff. I don't want to. I have no desire to go and learn all about accounting and to keep on top of the books. I know that the lifeblood of my business is to go and get and keep more customers, and that's exactly what we do. So what won't you do in your business? And that's just as much of as the important question as what you will do. Have a good idea about both, and then see if that franchise measures up to what your skill set is. One thing that you can have a look at is there's lots of varieties of this, but one of them is called DISC profiling, and that is offered by many professionals all around the country, and you can also have a look at, if you Google this profile, it will come up with a detailed explanation online, and it has a look at your personality traits and your characteristics and where your strengths lie and where the areas are that maybe you're not so strong in. And again, if you can have a look at that sort of thing, you will be able to match the franchise business hopefully more accurately to your own skill set. So there's kind of two distinct roles, isn't there, almost, within the leaflet delivery company business. What are those, Trevor?
Okay, so the first one is the organisational role. We deal with a lot of paper, hundreds of thousands of pieces of paper per month. So it's really important that the person's able to sort of see a bigger picture and keep very organised in their approach to the work. We provide a lot of systems to help them do that, but they've got to oversee it and make sure that they are on top of the bigger picture. The second side is the extrovert type characteristic. As you said earlier, nothing happens in business unless you get a customer. So we need to make sure that the franchisees are comfortable going out and speaking to people. They don't have to be hardened salespeople. They don't have to be like your double glazing salesperson or your used car salesperson. And apologies if any of those are listening to us tonight. But we don't want a sort of stereotypical image of a hard salesperson. We just want people that aren't afraid to get out and start talking to people, and that will put themselves in front of people and be able to hold a good conversation and explain what we do.
Yeah, absolutely right. So the action here is quite simple. It's don't fit your skills into a business that's not relevant. And again, you've already mentioned it, Trevor, here, but the pitfall for a lot of new franchisees is sales. Nothing happens in business until you make a sale, and for some people, sales is a dirty word. So, just have a think about, if it's not going to be you doing the selling in your business, who is it going to be? And I often ask the question is who's better placed to sell your business? Is it you or is it someone else? Number 8 is vision. So we're moving swiftly on, and we're almost keeping in with our time. So it's critically important that you speak with your franchisor about the vision for the business. So what's their vision, and does it align with yours? You don't want to be investing, certainly in a business where the franchisor is taking a direction that you're not comfortable with. And do you have full confidence in the franchisor's ability to develop the business? Certainly kind of where we're at now, talking about the vision, is something that you're not going to know until you sit down face to face, most likely, with your franchisor and have a one-to-one meeting and ask those questions. It's not something that you can usually gather or even make an assumption on from the material that they provide or their website or anything like that. It's actually best done in a face-to-face meeting, so that you can both look into the whites of one another's eyes and see, is this the right franchisor for me, and do I have confidence that they will develop the business and keep driving it forward? And certainly my advice here is to ask a lot of questions about their vision, their plan for growth, and quite critical now, how they are setting about achieving this, because anyone, quite frankly, can have some great thinking and some great vision for their business, but we really want to know how they're going to achieve it. So I know that, Trevor, you're quite strong on your vision for the leaflet delivery company, aren't you?
That's right. The vision is that we will be the leading leaflet delivery company in every town in the UK. Okay, and we're living up to that. Whenever we have a franchisee in a particular area, they are becoming the market leader within that particular area, and the reason why we're achieving that is because we've spent a lot of time looking at what is it we need to be able to for want of a better word, boast the fact that we're the best. And we've invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money in making sure that those systems and the tools are in place, and that we get the right people on board in the franchise network as well, because ultimately it is down to the people.
Absolutely right. It comes back down to this is a two-way relationship between the franchisee and the franchisor. So you've both got to be right for one another. It's not about and should never be about a hard sell from a franchisor to get you on board. It's a commitment that you are making both financially and for a significant number of years. So it's got to be a fit both ways, certainly. And in terms of your plans for growth, I know that you've got some really ambitious plans, certainly to have the whole of the UK.
There's 135 territories that we've identified that we will have franchises in, and we're looking to bring them on at a rate of around about 10 to 15 per year, making sure that we scale up so that we can support them and provide them with everything that they need.
Yeah, exactly right, which is very encouraging actually, that it's not just the franchisee scaling their business, but actually the franchisor is doing just the same, and it needs to be able to provide the right systems and the right support in order to support the network that you have. So it's always very encouraging for me when I hear a franchisor is not just interested in kind of making over 100 sales in their first or their second year, because actually realistically my question would be, how are you going to support that network? So it's fantastic to hear obviously that you've got stages of growth and that you know the bigger picture and obviously where you're headed, so that your franchisees can be the number one choice in whichever town they're in. So number 9, the last point here, is plan, and it comes back to you guys in terms of that you need to have a plan for everything, and I cannot stress this enough. I know that Trevor's going to echo me in just a second with plan, because we're both very passionate about this. So what I would suggest is that you don't spend 3 days working on a business plan that's going to sit on a shelf for the next 3 years, because in truth you do have to have a plan for business, but don't be fooled into thinking it needs to be the typical business plan that you can download online or that you can go and go and construct yourself. These are the things that I think you should be aware of when you're constructing your plan. How will you customers? Critical, and it's got to be the top of my list. Them down to names, really specific. It's not good enough anymore to say, oh, we're looking for businesses in Sourport, or we're looking for hairdressers in Newcastle. It's not good enough. I want to know the top 50, the hot 50 prospect list that you've got, and even down to their names, their business names, the owners' names, or whether it's a residential, domestic market. How are you going to find these people? What do they look like? I know that that's something that's included within your induction program, Trevor.
Yeah, that's right. It's part of the sales training and the marketing training that we give. It's all about who you're going to market to, because who you're marketing to is actually more important than the marketing message itself. Because if you've got a really good marketing message, but yet you're not saying it to the right people, no one's going to buy. So what we do is we spend a lot of time identifying a target customer, and we have developed the top 50 category list, the top 50 businesses that benefit from our service, and this isn't just what we think. This is from experience, from all the customers that we've dealt with over the past 5 to 6 years, and all of the leaflets that we see. We know the ones that do more regular leaflets in, and the ones that do sort of sporadic leaflets in, etc. And then we show the franchisees how to actually find this information. How do you find out who the branch manager is at your local estate agent? How do you find out what magazines are being published in your area? All these sorts of things. So we get a very good prospect list, and we can start marketing to them.
Yeah, absolutely right. And just out of interest, who are the top 3?
Okay, so magazines. Okay. Estate agents, and then taxis. Okay, right. So those are the top 3 categories of businesses that actually not only benefit from your services as a leaflet delivery company, but actually they're the people who are most consistent with the work, right? Absolutely, yeah. They're the ones that's very, very regular. Sort of on a monthly basis. This is where you're building up that residual income that we talked about earlier on. Fantastic. Thanks for that, Trevor.
So the next part of your plan should be covering your finances, and I would encourage you to be realistic. That's not to say don't set challenging targets, but be realistic in terms of what you can achieve in your first 4 weeks in the business and what you can achieve in your first year. Most people tend to overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in just a few weeks or days. So be realistic. Consider the cash flow. And have a look at and ask questions about what are the busy or the quiet times of the year and why that might be so. Certainly if you're looking at a lawn cutting franchise, for instance, then there are only going to be so many months of the year that you are going to be able to offer that service to clients. So what are the revenue streams are there in that business that you can offer in order to keep clients year-round? So are there busy or quiet times in the leaflet delivery company?
Surprisingly, we've not found that. We anticipated when we started that August would be a quiet period of time and December would. But it's proved to be completely different. For the last 3 years consecutively, August has been our busiest month, and we're always busy over the Christmas period as well. Businesses want to market themselves whilst people are at home. So we're not seeing any major swings in business. We find it pretty consistent.
Okay, that's interesting. So the next part of the plan would be down to personal circumstances. So how is this business going to fit into your life? So how would it fit around your commitments, whether it's the family, children, whether you're going to have to travel for the business, whether you're going to have to forfeit and sacrifice your weekends, and perhaps if you're in an employed role, you might not have been doing that previously. So, again, how is that going to work? And what are you going to do with holidays? And also, it's really interesting and important to have a think before you commit to any franchise about where you're going to work. So if you don't have any premises or you don't need premises and you can work from home, then what space are you going to work in? Because your working environment is going to be really important to ensure that you're productive and that you're able to run the business efficiently. And that you've got a good working environment where you can sit down and get to work. So, using the dining room table and having to clear it every day at 5 o'clock so you can have family dinner is not going to work in the long term. So, where are you going to be, and how are you going to make that space productive for what you need? So the action here is ask lots and lots of great questions. You cannot ask too many questions, and no franchisor who again is worth their salt will ever be bothered about how many questions that you ask, because the key factor is that you are right for them and they are right for you, and it doesn't matter how long that process takes or how many questions that you ask. Trevor's already said it. Involve your family members. They are going to be the ones who are supporting you when you're at home, or if you've had a bad day, which happens in any business and indeed in anyone's life. So involve your family members throughout the decision-making process, and let them know how they can support you best. Speak to as many franchisees as you can in the network. Again, make sure that you've spoken to people who are both in their early days, in their infancy in the business, and who have been there for several years. Speak to the people who aren't doing so well and the people who are flying. Find out what's working for them, how they position themselves, and who their best customers are, and how they got them on board. And don't commit until you are sure. Go in with your eyes wide open, do your research, do your due diligence, and have fun with it. Trevor, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, all I would really strengthen the point, or emphasise the point, is that a franchise relationship has to be a two-way relationship. If you go and visit a prospective franchisor and all they're interested in is telling you how good they are, not interested in finding out about you, then it gives you signals that perhaps they're not looking at it as a two-way street. They're just looking at the sale. Any franchise or franchise network worth their salt will recognise the fact that it is a partnership. You're working together. You're going to have a long-term relationship together, and you're going to want to enjoy working working with each other. You're not going to sort of want to feel, from a franchisee point of view, you don't want to feel that you're a burden or a hindrance to them every time you have a question. You want to be able to know that you're being supported, and it's by asking the questions and really dig in for as long as you want. Don't be pressurized at all into entering into a franchise agreement. It's a big commitment, both in time, in finances, and in effort. And having been on both sides of the fence, I've seen franchisees leave networks basically because they didn't do enough research, and there was nothing wrong with the franchise organisations that they joined, but they didn't do enough research to actually find out whether it was a fit for them. Yeah, and that's the crucial thing.
Absolutely right. So keep asking the questions, keep doing your research, make sure that you are asking the franchisor the kind of due diligence that they would expect you to do, and sometimes go with your gut instinct. If you're feeling that the franchisor isn't right for you, then it might just be that they might not be. So there are plenty of options, open to you, and there's no kind of right or wrong to any of this. It's just guidelines. So have we got some questions?
Yeah. Again, just whilst we're at this stage, questions, feel free, if you have any questions, to put them in the chat box there, and we'll do our best to answer them, albeit we are conscious of the time has overrun a little bit. Firstly, we have a question from Bav. Bav's asking, are we going to tell you about how to recruit leaflet droppers, what types of people they are, and how you retain them? I certainly can. That's not a problem. The webinar, the presentation tonight, is really more about franchising in general. But obviously, you've heard a bit about the leaflet delivery company franchise. This is something that we spend a lot of time making sure that the franchisees are equipped with the right paperwork, the right induction for the leaflet droppers, the right contracts, the health and safety issues, all that sort of stuff. And we recruit them through a number of different ways, both online and offline. We have a set leaflets that we know the results from. Every time we deliver 1,000 sort of leaflet distributor required leaflets, we know we get 5 to 6 responses. We know that we can advertise on Facebook and Gumtree and loads of other online forums that give us good results.
Great. And so what kind of folk do you get that apply? Who does this work for?
A whole wide range. It's not perhaps who you might think it is. I mean, we've had an airline pilot that delivers for us, and that was when they're in between flying around the world. They're out sort of keeping fit and getting out and about. We've got teachers that deliver in the holidays, and we've got students. We've got full-time people that perhaps they just want a job where they're not under pressure, and that they're outside and they're quite happy putting their headphones on and walking around. We've got people that are in full-time employment that want to boost their savings, etc. And we've got retired people that want to keep fit and active while earning some extra pin money. So it is a wide range of different people that are out delivering.
Absolutely, that is a very wide range. Yeah. And so they can earn some quite significant money, can't they, in terms of...
Absolutely. We have distributors that are earning between £400 to £500 per week, and that's not bad money for what they're actually doing. So we've got some that are earning really good money.
Certainly considerably above the national average for leaflet distribution.
Absolutely. I mean, we pay above minimum wage. We pay above the average rate because we want quality people, and this goes back to being the best. We'll pay the most because we want the best people. We don't face the issues, or very rarely do we face the issues with the unreliability that unfortunately sometimes the industry can have.
Absolutely right. So is there any other question?
Yeah, there's another question just come in from Alfred asking about the cost of the franchise. The franchise ranges between £7,500 through to £12,500. So that's the sort of range. On top of that, we recommend that you have between £4,000 to £5,000 in the bank for working capital, and then, as we said earlier, you have enough money to be able to support yourself for 3 to 6 months on top of that.
Great.
Okay. Right, so we're going to move on now. Firstly, thanks for attending tonight. Thanks for giving up your time. Now, hopefully you found the information useful, whether or not you're considering the Leaflet Delivery Company franchise or any other franchise. Hopefully there's some good information there that you'll be able to use, and make sure you've done enough research. Now, from here, really, that's the end. You have a couple of choices. The first is, do you want to find out more about the Leaflet Delivery Company? Now, if you don't, that's fine. That's not a problem. Again, we hope we've provided some value for you, and that you'll be able to use the information. But if you do want to find out more about us, on the right-hand side of your screen now, you should see something that's a big button that says "Show Me More." It says "Find out more about the Leaflet Delivery Company franchise. Show me more." So if you press that button, you'll have two options. The first option is that we can send you a full information pack in the post. That information pack has case studies, finances, etc. on that. The second option, you may have already had a pack from us, is to request a telephone call where we can find out a bit more about each other to see whether there's mileage in us perhaps meeting up, and we can answer any specific questions that you have about the franchise. Again, thank you very much for your time tonight. Thank you for giving up your evening, and I hope we've been of use to you.
Thanks, Trevor.